Okay, great. Thank you, Matt. Hacker Fantastic, or Matt.
Yeah, unbelievable.
We're truly chuffed to bits to have you on board. Welcome to BeerCon 1.
Thank you. I've never taken part in a virtual conference before, so it's certainly interesting. I've been tuning in and out all weekend while working on some iOS related hacking activities. So it's been very interesting to get so many different people's opinions and hear about what people are doing in the industry. I think it's really quite exciting, really, to hear everyone's views and thoughts on different things. I've certainly picked up a few things myself around OSINT and various others. So yeah, it's been good. So I'm definitely grateful to have the opportunity to come on and speak to everyone. So this is a mental health and EFF as well, right?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, donations are going towards them. We're very pleased about that because I think those are two important charities for all of us in the business.
Mm-hmm. I think that the mental health one especially, I think that not enough people speak about some of their experiences with consulting and the kind of workload that you get. It can lead to kind of depression and various other things if you're constantly traveling around, constantly on site, working ridiculous hours. People do experience kind of burnout and stuff, and it does happen a lot more frequently than people realize. And I think that it's good, that the information security community is at least acknowledging that now and doing more for it. But it's one of those things, really. I think depression is a big killer amongst young men, especially, and not enough of us seek guidance and help, and those things impact us. So it's really great to be able to be involved with something it's raising money for those kinds of issues. So
it's awesome to have you here, Matt. It's a real honor. So yeah, I mean, we're truly grateful to you for sharing your time with us. So just to kick us off, I guess, would you mind? I mean, I think a lot of people know who you are, and you're very active, and you're a very busy guy, and your company's very busy. But would you mind just giving us a little bit of an insight into who you are and what it is that you guys do?
Yeah, so my name's Matthew. I go by the nom de jour Hacker Fantastic. I've been doing penetration testing and ethical hacking and vulnerability discovery for around 20 years or so, I'd say now. Most of that time has been in industry, working for clients under contracts and writing things. I'm the co-founder at Hacker House. We're a training company that provides pen testing services. I'm actually just kind of between flights at the moment. I've got some clients to go see later on today. And we basically, hack things to try and find vulnerabilities. And often our clients, they're already doing pen tests. They're already kind of security aware. They're looking for people to kind of come in and try and give them a handle on, finding new vulnerabilities, much like the last speaker was just saying, working with the developers, trying to improve their tooling, showing them how vulnerabilities manifest so that they can be better, more aware of it. As part of that, we started doing, a lot of training, a lot of entry-level training, because what we kind of realized is that the information security industry is a little bit like a pyramid of knowledge. And at the very top of that pyramid of knowledge, there's heap overflows, use after freeze, out of bound reads, all of this exploitation, low-level engineering kind of hacking. But that is actually such a small part of what industry needs in terms of security. Most industry doesn't need you to come in and write a zero-day exploit for their kernel to demonstrate a certain kind of thing. Much like if you look at Apple, technology, right? A lot of the jailbreaking is done in a production environment. But internally at Apple, they have their own access to the technology that they're building. So they're able to investigate security controls a lot more thoroughly. But what we found is that the fundamentals, the basic building blocks of cybersecurity, the abilities to do pen testing, build reviews, understand why patches are being applied, what a SQL injection attack looks like, what that means to a company. A lot of those fundamentals appear to be missing. And we have in information security a group of people really technical, really smart, really knowledgeable, but the translation, the ability to communicate what those people can do and what they can offer to a business is kind of void. There's a big disconnect between the engineering team, the development team, and general tech teams, to understanding what is computer hacking and why the hell should we have it in our business, and why do we need hackers working for us? So I think being able to do some of that has been, pretty integral to my own journey, because I've realized that there's a lot that we can offer people, that doesn't necessarily come in the form of a 0-day kernel exploit. While those are great and they're fun and everyone needs them, they're not necessarily the thing that organizations need. A lot of those organizations need understanding, like, how do we use Zap? What is Zap? How do I as a developer make use of forms poisoning attacks to validate what's going on in my environment? So we do a lot of that. We do a lot of knowledge transfer. I like working with clients, helping them understand, letting them build up their internal kind of pen test teams, so that when they're calling us in, we're going in to see them for more interesting things like kernel level attacks, or things that are a little bit outside the scope of someone who's done some security training. But it's a big part of about what we're about, trying to get people more self-sufficient in security, because when I started doing this, it was a very complicated thing. You had to download a lot of stuff, you had a lot of work. You had to learn C, you had to learn assembler. There wasn't ways around it. Now today, a lot of the tools that are out there, you don't necessarily need someone who has the greatest technical proficiency in a low-level language to be able to interpret vulnerability assessment results, right? That's not conducive really to good business. What's good for business is being able to understand where the security risks are and how to address them, right? And that's all they really care about. They don't care how clever you were in doing your attack. They just care that the attacks don't impact their business and their bottom line. So we found that there was a big need for fundamental training, a big need to increase awareness of tools, technology, but also empowerment. I changed my life by using computer hacking, and there's a lot of other people, and there's a lot of other stories so far in this industry to speak with people who have come from different backgrounds, and have made money or have got jobs and have done good things with their lives. And a lot of that is down to computer hacking and the way that they've applied it. So we're big believers in that, that these kinds of skills, they're empowering because they allow people to kind of change their current situation. If you're looking at your job on a Monday morning, you think, oh, I don't really want to do that job anymore. There are so many jobs in cybersecurity that it's a really good angle for people to kind of pivot from a technical role, and indeed, the industry is always looking for new ways to welcome people in. So that's a real big part of what I'm about. The other elements of it, of course, is hardware hacking and hacking the planet. Everything. If it moves, I hack it.
Awesome. So 2019 found you at the center of what I would call a political mudslinging controversy. And I think you rose to the occasion with poise and fact, but I did detect a certain level of frustration with the way the media ended up characterizing. I'd like you to kind of set the record straight on what you feel happened, and kind of like how the security community, I hope, rallied behind you.
I think the media, unfortunately, is it's divided into different beats, and the InfoSec beat and the technology beat were some of our staunchest supporters. They didn't write anything untoward. For those who are listening and don't know, there was some allegations with my business partner that were found to be completely untrue. They were quelled, but they were placed in the media and in the tabloids, and it resulted in a negative publicity for us. So that kind of media storm was very difficult to manage. We had a lot of members of the public contacting us. We had a lot of, not very nice things said, both towards me and my business partner, who's also my wife, just for the record.
Okay.
Yeah. So, very, very difficult, time for us both. But in terms of the community element of it, aside from, journalists not really covering it on their beat, for us, it was interesting to see how the media will just take and write anything. I can't really speak for my business partner, but a lot of the stuff that was written was, completely untrue. We have a 2-year-old daughter, And you know, it was hard to have to deal with members of the public commenting on my personal life, you know, especially as people in cyber. You know, but these things, unfortunately, they you know, they do happen. And I think they can happen to any of us. You know, when we started Hack the House, and you know, Jen was like, you know, I'll put you as the CEO. You know, she retained a higher percentage of control of the company. You know, it was really quite new for me to have a, you know, female CEO, and I really did believe in all of that. And I felt that it was very unfortunate that you know, her femininity was what was being used against her. And you know, to be honest, it makes you sort of feel a little bit sick that people can do that, really. You know,
well, I know there was a lot of strong feelings and support for you and your work, and I just wanted to give you the opportunity to tell your side of the story, because I don't think it was covered appropriately and balanced.
It wasn't. Sorry, Matt. I'll just chip in a little bit. Nobody wants to be used as a political football, right? Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine that ever happening to me. So I can only begin to understand possibly how that affected you and your family. But that's the fucking UK, right? And that's politics.
Yeah. But on the, you know, yeah, I think it gave me a lot of insight. I mean, I had a lot of these companies, and for me, you know, I do a lot of cybersecurity stuff. You know, breaking into a media company and changing the story wouldn't be a difficult thing for me to do. But, you know, sitting there, and I had to sit on my hands throughout a lot of this, because, you know, there are people who were online writing articles, and you know, throughout it all, I was just sitting on my hands, like, if I do anything, it's going to backfire. So, you know, we had to be very dignified about this thing. You know, we're small business owners, you know, but it was cleared up, and it was just unfortunate, really, that the press decided to run with this fable. You know, as I say, it shed a negative light on the, you know, the hard work that we have done.
Yeah, absolutely.
One minor news story, and we've been quite quoted in, you know, dozens of others in relation to.
But they don't, you know what they say, Matt, because you're a northern guy, I guess.
Yeah.
In fact, just before I tell you about what they say, we met at B-Sides Manchester in 2017.
Really?
You were there with Jen and your kid.
Cool.
And we were introduced by Anthony Kenworthy, who's a name I suspect you may recognize.
Yeah.
And so we met. But I thought at the time, what's a northern bloke doing over in the US and all that kind of stuff? You've got your reasons for that, and that's not the question. The question is, what markets do you get into in terms of the business that you do? Are you in a particular vertical, or are you in everything?
Amazingly, we don't really target specific sectors and industries. We go where there's a need for the work. So a lot of our clients are actually based up in the Bay Area. We have a lot of clients, obviously without naming names, who develop privacy and communication solutions, for which we, in fact, it's where I'm off to later on this afternoon, to where we basically, you know, fuzz, analyze, try to inject, you know, attacks, and they, you know, they'll handle the communications traffic and data of, you know, a few million people on average a day. You know, so the work that we do does have a direct impact, and you know, it does help protect people. You know, and that's a key thing for me, really. I don't particularly enjoy, you know, causing work for work's sake, you know, sitting in a data center somewhere and just running, you know, tools and scans. I much prefer working with an organization that's trying to get a handle on cybersecurity, you know, and understand the guts of it. And a lot of my clients are actually reactive. What's happened to them is, you know, somebody wrote an advisory, published it on Daily Dave or Full Disclosure about one of their competitors. Obviously, that has a massive impact on their competitors' market share, because it looks like the competitors being hacked and all the rest of it. So they're trying to stay ahead of the competition. They're trying to get their O-days found and fixed before somebody else finds them, so that they don't hurt their bottom lines and their profits.
So Matt, over to you, mate.
So one thing I wanted to ask, it kind of relates in some aspect to what Ian was raising, but when we mentioned hacking, the media just goes negative, doing bad things. How do we change that perception? Because I mean, one of the things I saw was a journalist saw you were hacking voting machines and said, "Oh, look what this guy's doing. He's immediately bad." How do we change that perception?
I think that's a very hard fight to do. I've been trying to do that for a while. Like, you know, creating the nom de jour Hacker Fantastic was a way to spread positive messages to people, to try and put a window really into this world and show people that it is not dark and mysterious, and we're not bad people. We're just people that know how to identify computers being broken. I mean, they were already broken when we received them. Right. You're just pointing out how broken they are. So to spread that message and to achieve that requires a lot of championing of skills, a lot of conversations, which we're not good at as an industry. We're not good at having conversations with politicians, etc. And that's actually why my business partner and I ended up in business together, because she was doing that. She was having those conversations. She was getting in the face of politicians and asking them questions. I met Mr. Johnson once on his walk around in Richmond as mayoral walk as he was going around the town. And I spoke to him about computer hackers I knew who were being extradited, right? They're facing extradition. They were facing serious penalties for their computer crimes. And, I spoke to him, and he was very little regard for it, right? But Jen, my partner, was able to get these conversations, get these issues going with people who in the past have not been so susceptible to talking about them. So I think changing computer hacking as a terminology to move away from that negative connotation, requires more people to understand that, it's a beneficial process, that we need our young people understanding that, TalkTalk has a SQL injection on their website, because if they don't, then that SQL injection might not get fixed, or there might not be any pressure on these companies to secure our data. And it seems that, data spills out much more regularly. And we hear from the lawmakers, we hear from politicians, but we never hear from hackers. We never hear from the positive sides of the people who identified there was a problem in the first place. We're too busy locking them up. So until we change that kind of mentality, we're really are going to be fighting a bit of a battle. And I believe in the UK, it's changed a lot more now. You can go in and say, I'm an ethical hacker somewhere, and that's not going to raise too many eyebrows. It's a bit more understood. Even the tabloid journalists, when that incident happened, when the guy was saying, oh, you're a hacker, you're a bad person, they recognize that ethical hacking is a legitimate pathway. It is a legitimate career. It is a legitimate job. So I think times are changing, but here in the United States, that's certainly not the case. In fact, when we've gone to conferences and set up our stand and been like, hey, it's Hacker House, we've had people come up to us and say, you guys are the bad guys, hackers, we don't promote that, this kind of thing. So we've still got the very much hackers are credit card thieves, hackers are spying on your email. That mindset is still very much alive in the US. Yeah. Whereas I believe in Europe, that's changing. People are more aware of the jobs, they're becoming more aware this is a good outlet. Here in the US, people are doing, CTFs. There's a lot of pathways. I saw numerous adverts for, degrees in cybersecurity. So there's a lot of options here. However, that's still that teenage rebellion, mindset is still frowned upon. And I think we'd all agree with the fact that censorship of us and the way that hackers work is not conducive to having good cybersecurity. You need hackers to be able to explain how they found bugs or what their problems are that they're identifying without the fear of arrest. And I mean, I saw a bug bounty program that redirected its traffic to the FBI. I mean, that was AT&T. I mean, it's a fairly large telecoms provider, but if you're scanning AT&T servers in what you believe to be legal, and then you inadvertently hit the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, they're not understanding about computer hackers. They see you all as a menace, and they want to put you in jail. And I think that you've got a war really on that term. If you said information security outlet, nobody's going to bat an eyelid. But that term hacker has been well cemented in the public's perception, especially in America, as being a negative thing.
Okay, yeah, that's fascinating. Right, Matt, we're out of time.
Thank you very much for having me on.
No, it's been our pleasure. So really, really appreciate you sharing your insights and your experience with us and being candid with us. And we really appreciate that. So
no worries, guys. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your conference.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Bye.
Hey.